Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Miss Coffee here, and today we're working on a WIP chat. WIP stands for work in progress. So get out whatever that is for you. Work along with me as I tell you some stories from the coffee house shenanigans. You know I always got stories. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful day on the day that you're watching this. So before we get started, I did get something in the mail. Now, I had asked the folks over at Diamond Pen Pal if they have ever done an opal colored drill pen. And they had a couple of them, but they wanted to try to like make one. So I can get it out of the thing here. So that is what I'm going to show you today. So here is the beautiful opal pen. Isn't it stunning? I love it. And of course, it's one of their non-rolling pens, as they are the originators of the non-rolling pen. So it's flat on one side. So I'm super excited to use that. So I think we're going to use that today. Checking to make sure that they didn't put anything else in there. There is what I was looking for, which is the rest of... Looky! I got a Fox eraser. And then we got a 3D printed straightener. We got a nail file, because you know your girl got to have the nail file. So we're going to put the rest of that stuff in there. The rest of that stuff is going to be for the kids, probably. It's candy for the kids. So, I'm going to put that stuff off to the side. We're going to use this today. So how was everybody's Easter? For those who celebrate Easter, I hope you had a wonderful Easter with your family. I did. It was wonderful. We're going to talk about it here in a few minutes. Just let me get this pen together. We're going to try to get this pen together. There we go. We're going to put our straighteners in the side of the table over here. And then we're going to get our wax out. And I've been using this putty from April Harris. So we're just going to put it in there like that. I'm just packing it into the pen so that I don't have to worry about excess or anything like that. And I'm rubbing the rest of it off the sides. It's a really good putty. And I don't know if April has a shop. I keep meaning to ask her, but then I forget because there's so much going on at all times. But if she happens to watch this, she can post whether or not she has a shop. All right, so I think we are ready to go. So we are working on the Mooney Made kit still. We haven't made a whole lot of progress, but we've made some progress. We've made a little bit of progress. Any progress is some progress. We're going to take that off of there like that. Now, the release papers come to us from Crafts with Crashly. I've partnered with Crafts with Crashly to design some release papers for her shop. So if you are ever so inclined and want to buy some really good, thick release papers with some of my artwork on it, they're over at craftswithcrashly.com on her website. I got a little foxy eraser. I'm so excited about that. So let's make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. All right. Get my tray out here with all my other pens in them. I'm going to put these off to the side. And then now we can get started. We're going to test out this new pen. We're going to put some miles on it. We're going to put some miles on it. So, like I said, I hope everybody had a wonderful Easter. It was a pretty decent Easter here at the coffee house. Now, what age... I'm already starting off with questions. We're not even 5 minutes in, and Miss Coffee always got questions. So, at what age did you stop giving your children Easter baskets? If you have children... or if you have nieces and nephews, at what age did they stop getting Easter baskets? Now, we made our last year giving the kids Easter baskets, mostly because at some point when kids are little, they go through this rebellious stage with each other, and they hate each other's lives. And because of this, Maggie and Ryan choose violence, like, on the daily. It's on spot. Like, no words have to be spoken. They just choose violence. So because of this, last year when we got them Easter baskets, we gave them the Easter baskets in the morning, like, you know, it's almost like a second Christmas at this point. We gave them the Easter basket in the morning, and the Easter baskets usually contain like a toy and some candy, like, you know, the usual Easter basket fillings. And They decided that by noon, their Easter baskets were just going to be confetti all over my floor. So we decided this year not to get them Easter baskets. Now, that's not to say we didn't get them like Easter treats, but they didn't get like the actual basket because I didn't feel like cleaning up basket pieces all over my living room for Easter. So Easter morning, I wake up, and I didn't do a 12-hour live stream over on Twitch this week. We only were on there like 8 hours or something like that. We will probably be doing a 12-hour live stream this weekend because I'm going to be trying to do like a charity stream. One of my first charity streams over on Twitch. We're going to see how it works. But I didn't do a long stream, so I wasn't like hella tired, and I didn't sleep in super long on Sunday. And I woke up and I, did pet chores, and I let Mr. Coffee sleep in a little bit. He didn't sleep in too long because like his phone rang for work. He didn't have to go in immediately, but later on that evening he ended up having to go in, which kind of sucked. But the kids were already in bed by then. So I'm sitting there and I go, okay, what do I need to do? And I'm like, it's really nice outside. Our weather is starting to change. So where we were like frigidly cold still, it's actually now been like yesterday was nice weather. Today's supposed to be nice weather. And I'm pretty excited about it. So Easter was no different. So we actually opened the front door, and I wanted to make it where the dogs could go lay on the porch. But of course, I didn't want them to run off every time they saw somebody walk past the house or something. So I was like, we were trying to figure out what we can get to barricade the stairs outside, just so the doggies can sit outside and enjoy like the fresh air. And so that we can get some fresh air in the house because, after your house being closed up for so long, it gets kind of stuffy in here. So it was nice to be able to open the door to let some fresh air into the house. And so that's what we did. Now, when we first got the ferrets, we had purchased like this really cool like playpen that came apart for puppies. But of course, ferrets are bigger than puppies. So we had like all the stuff like attached to it so that the ferrets couldn't escape the playpen. But we kept the playpen just because we weren't sure if we would ever need it again. So we pull out the playpen and barricade the stairs with it. And surprisingly, it worked well. And the dogs have been able to go outside for the last couple of days and go sit and chill on the porch, which has been really nice for them because they get a little bit of fresh air. They're not cooped up in the house like they normally are. So yeah, so that's one of the nice things. But on top of that, we decided I decided I was gonna clean up some stuff. So Mr. Coffee was still kind of like in bed, and I decided to like clean up downstairs. And as I'm cleaning up, Maggie, I swear, I don't know what it is, but it seems like my living room floor is like a magnet for Maggie's socks. Because no matter how many times you tell her to pick up her socks in the living room, there's always a bunch of socks. Y'all, we found the sock graveyard underneath the couch. So Maggie's been missing a bunch of her socks, and we couldn't figure out where they had gotten off to. Well, it seems like maybe the ferrets had gotten a hold of them and stashed them. So when Mr. Coffee came downstairs, he was putting away our little box heater that we have. It's a heater that we use for the ferrets so that they don't get super cold. The house isn't insulated the best. So because of that, which I need to call the complex. But because of that, we had a little heater that we would keep on for downstairs for the ferrets so they didn't get too cold. Because ferrets, you don't really typically want them to get below 75 degrees. So, we would have a heater for them. And Mr. Coffee came down and I asked him, could he put the heater away? Because obviously we weren't going to need it. It was in like the 50s. And I was like, I just want to get some fresh air into the house. And he says, fine. Well, I go to vacuum while he's moving the couch and something gets stuck in the vacuum at first. So then I get the hose out and I'm like, okay, maybe it's just, it needs to clear the thing. So I get the hose out. And here, there's a whole sock and a half stuck in the damn vacuum. And I'm like, what the hell? So I try to get it out. I'm fighting with the vacuum at this point. And I'm losing. I'm losing to the vacuum because the vacuum was not giving up these socks. Why is it when you suck things up with the vacuum has to play tug of war with you? And you never win. You never win. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to struggle to get this sock out. Mr. Coffee is just staring at me. And he's like, what are you doing? What do you mean, what am I doing? I'm getting the sock out of the vacuum. He's like, oh, is that what you're doing? yes, why? He goes, looks like you're just losing a fight to the vacuum. You know what, sir? You're not helping. Like, you could just help, you know, and be like a normal husband and help me. And he's like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, okay, can you help me unclog the vacuum? Because apparently there was a clog in the vacuum. So he goes and he gets his little tool out, because, you know, men have tools everywhere. And so he gets his little tool out and he takes the bottom part of the vacuum apart. And we have to do this like once every month, where we just take the vacuum apart, clean it real good, and then put it back together. And so he did that yesterday, or on Easter. And Maggie's like, are we going to do Easter stuff? I'm like, we sure are. She goes, are we going to hide eggs? No. Now, we don't typically hide eggs. Not since we moved here. And if we do, they're the plastic ones, and we do it in the house from now on. And let me tell you why. Story time. So, a few years ago, I want to say it was back when we lived at the old place. It was Easter, and the kids wanted to, like, hide eggs and, you know, all that kid fun stuff that they do at Easter time. And so I was like, all right. So I had made some boiled eggs, and I had made some, sorry, I'm looking for a color here. I had made some boiled eggs, and we had some plastic eggs, and I was like, you know, we're going to hide the eggs, and you guys are going to find them. This is going to be so much fun, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sitting there, and I really hope that's enough. All right. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right. There we go. That moment you go to diamond paint and there's dog fur on your canvas. Ugh. The joys of having dogs. So for those folks that wonder how I keep the dog fur off my canvas, I don't. Typically, I don't get it on my canvas, but when I do, I'm just as irritable as everybody else about it. So yeah, so I had made boiled eggs, because the kids like to eat boiled eggs, of course, and so does Mr. Coffee, even though he's allergic. He ate so many boiled eggs that he built not an immunity to them. He built an intolerance to them. So Mr. Coffee gets really bad infections if he'll get intestinal infections if he eats a bunch of eggs. So he kind of has like a little bit of intolerance to them. So anyways, so I make them. And right before I get to hide them, I had to go do something, because, you know, can't just do one task at a time. You got to do 7 at a time and then mess all 5 or 6 of them up. And then you get one right and you feel accomplished for the day. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, we're going to hide eggs, but let mommy finish doing what she's doing. Well, the kids decided that they were impatient. They couldn't wait. So they decide, no, we're just going to hide them. So they start hiding the eggs while I'm away from the eggs, not paying any attention. I come back and Mr. Coffee's like doing stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm hiding the eggs with the kids. And I'm like, oh, well, that's nice of you. So I go over to the counter and I'm like, hold up, wait. Remember, we're hiding them in the house. And we're hiding them in the house, 1, because we live in an apartment. 2, because it was snow, like there was snow outside. You ever try to find Easter eggs in the snow? No, don't do that. So I'm sitting there. And I'm like, all right, where did you put the eggs? And he goes, well, some of the real eggs. And I'm like, hold up, wait, some of the real eggs? I'm like, please tell me you didn't help them hide real eggs in the house. And he goes, well, what else are you supposed to do with them? I'm like, those were for you guys to eat, not to hide. He's like, oh, shit. I'm like, where all are the eggs? He's like, oh, well, I'm sure we can find them all. He goes, how many did you make? I'm like, 12. He's like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, now you get the chore of Easter egg hunting yourself, buddy. Yo, that was the year, if you remember, if you've been here long enough, that was the year that we had the lost Easter egg in the house for 2 weeks. We did eventually find it, like, behind a couch or something, but it was lost for 2 weeks. And if you can imagine a boiled egg that's just been sitting in a house, unrefrigerated, just chilling, yeah, it's as bad as it sounds. It's as bad as it sounds. And it smelled even worse when you got closer to it. So we did eventually find the egg. So now I only make the boiled eggs at night. Now, typically the kids like to boil egg or to decorate eggs. But before we could get to the store a week ago or even 2 weeks ago, every time we would go to the store, the freaking egg dye was sold out. And I'm like, how the hell are you selling out of egg dye? So I kept having Mr. Coffee check back with the store and Walmart and everything else, and it was still sold out. So I pulled out some of my paint markers and I was like, here, go to town. So they had fun doing that. So this year, I decided, first, let's clean the house. So we had everybody get up, clean the house. We washed bed sheets. We opened up windows. It was just such a nice day. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to sit outside. So I went out, sat outside, talked to a few of my friends from over on Twitch land. And like the kids were outside playing nicely, which was beautiful. And Mr. Coffee was, of course, inside playing his game like a normal person. But he was inside playing his game while me and the kids were sitting outside. And Mr. Coffee is not an outside person. He very much likes his dark hole, so he just sits in the house. Now, he will come out every once in a while. Like, he came out yesterday to hang out with Maggie. But for the most part, he's very much a couch dweller. He's like, I got the day off. I'm not moving. Leave me alone. So we cleaned up the house. And then we made a nice dinner. Now, there's this new butcher shop. Well, it's not a new butcher shop. It's new to us. For Christmas, Mr. Coffee's job got us a gift card to a butcher shop here in town. And we kept missing going to go get it. One, because we would forget, because that was 4 months ago. And two, because I was like, I don't know where no butcher shop is. So Mr. Coffee was going to have to be the one that went. So he finally remembered on Saturday to go to the butcher shop, and he was able to get some real, like, cut meat. And y'all, the look on this man's face, like, this must be a man thing, because the look on this man's face, you would have thought he found the holy grail of meats. Okay, like, he comes home like a kid in the candy store, and he's like, you would not believe what I saw. I've never seen this man so excited about anything in my entire life as he was about this damn butcher shop. He's going on about how they have all these big cut steaks and everything else. Now, I'll tell you right now, I don't eat steak. If I do eat steak, he doesn't like it because I eat it well done. I'm very much a well done steak person. Don't come at me. So many people like medium rare, and I get that. You know, it's your preference. I'm not gonna judge you for your preference, but then also don't judge me for my well done steak. Okay, I don't like it mooing back at me. And no. I really prefer my well-done steak. Anyways, so he decided that he was going to make some butterfly pork chops. And he's like, you know, I got to see them cut some of this. And I'm like, okay. He's like telling the fucking backstory to every piece of meat that he purchased. Like he didn't tell me the day before when he got it. And I was just like, dude, it's meat. Just put it in the freezer. Now, we want to get a deep freezer, but we can't do that until after we get back from our trip because we got to save as much money as possible. And right now, we're kind of struggling to do that because it seems like everything that possibly can go wrong is going wrong. And so right now, where we do have some money saved, it's not a whole lot. And I'm starting to get concerned because I'm like, we have a trip in less than 2 months. We need to really start cracking down and saving. So he was just like, oh, well, you know, we're trying, but every time we try to save, and this happens every time we try to save money. Does anybody else have a hard time saving money? And it's not even because you have bad spending habits. It's because every time you try to save money, it's like the universe is like, no, you don't want to do that. Let's go ahead and have this happen to your house, so you have to repair this, or have this happen. Now, I live in a place where I can just call maintenance to come fix things like I need to do right now. Like, I need to call maintenance because our air conditioning needs to be recharged. And matter of fact, while I'm thinking about it, if you don't mind, I'm going to pause you guys to go call them so that it's the first thing in the morning that they hear, and they can get somebody out here quickly to come fix this because, no, you know what? No, I'll do it when I'm done. It's not going to be any different than whatever. So, all right, I tried calling, and of course, they didn't answer. I really don't like the apartment people that own my apartment complex. They make it where you can't talk to them or contact them or have any kind of access to them minus a landline telephone. So if they're not in the office or they're out to lunch or whatever, you can't contact them. And they don't have an email for you to email them if there's an issue or anything. You straight up have to call either the office or the emergency line. What makes it incredibly difficult whenever you're doing things because of, like right now, our air conditioning needs to be recharged because it's not pumping out cool air at It's not, it's doing like what it did when we first moved in. It was pumping it out, but not a lot. And I could tell that something was up with it last night when it was really, really hot in the house. And it almost felt like the heater wasn't shutting off. And then we finally got shut off, and then the air conditioner just didn't seem to want to like kick on. And I don't know if it was just because the house was so hot or what, but it was not having it. So I needed to call them to ask them if they could have maintenance come over and recharge our air conditioning, because it hasn't been done in 2 years, and they did it when I first moved in. But because you can't email the complex or, you know, leave a message on their voicemail, because they purposely don't empty it so that they can't get voicemails, they make it where you cannot contact them. They don't want you to have any contact. And what's scaring me right now with my complex is on the 1st of every month, or every month, of the 1st of April, we usually get our renewal lease. And it's the lease that lets us know that we have, you know, 3 months. That is our 90-day, like, because if you move out of a place, you have to give them a 90-day notice. That is the date of our 90-day notice. They give you, like, 90 days in a week to, you know, decide whether or not you're staying or if you're leaving. Now, I'm worried because, one, we haven't gotten ours yet. So it's taking them forever to get it out, which doesn't help because it's going to be 90 days from the day they give it to us that we have to decide whether or not we're staying or if we're moving. Now, we have no intentions on moving at this point, but after yesterday, we might end up having to move, and the thought of doing that scares me. One, because Mr. Coffee's back is not in the best position to be moving. My back and knees and stuff aren't in the best position to be moving, and because of this, when I called yesterday to see if they had our renewal lease ready, and they said that they were preparing them, but they haven't finished them yet. And so I asked a simple question: do you know if the lease is going to be going up? Do you know if our price is going to be going up? Because right now they have it where we're paying $200 more than what they're asking for the townhouses. So we were going to see if they could lower it by the $200 that they're asking, because we've been here for almost 3 years. And the lady, before I could say anything, I just asked, you know, is the rent going up? She's like, oh, I'm not sure. It just depends on how much you're already paying. But I'm not, it'll be on your renewal lease. And I'm thinking, so that is your nice way, because of course they're going to know if your lease is going up. And why wouldn't they tell you? Like, I don't understand why they can't say yes or no, but she very much beat it around the bush, did not want to tell me whether our lease was going up, which gives me the sneaking suspicion that it is. Now, the problem with this is that we were already paying a shit ton of money for rent. We literally cannot afford for it to go up any more than what it's up now. And that townhouse that we live in is not worth it to go up any more than, it's not worth what we're paying for it now. So we're really praying that it doesn't go up, because of what happens if it goes up. We have to cancel our trip, because we would have to be out of here by June 1st. And that is when we had planned on leaving to go to Pennsylvania. So we would have to cancel our trip. We would then have to begin looking for a place to stay. And then the trouble with that is that where we live now, I have an office with all of my stuff in it. If we have to move, I have to get rid of almost everything that I own, like my crafting supplies and everything else. I have to get rid of over half of it so we can fit into a smaller apartment. And so I'm a little worried, because I don't want to have to leave this place, because we've already gotten so settled in, and this has been our home for 2 years, and I'm tired of moving. And what they're charging us for this place is highway robbery, and I don't see the place that we own now, or that owns the complex now, changing it. I very much see them trying to milk us for what they can. And they don't care that we've been here for 2 years. They don't care that we've never been late on our rent. They don't care about any of that. They care about making money, and that's it. And they don't even like talking to their tenants or anything. Even like whenever they have an announcement, like when the snow removal stuff was happening, they had their office ladies go to your house and post a paper on your door. With as windy as it is in North Dakota, they had these ladies coming over to your house, and they weren't even knocking. They were literally just putting papers on your door with tape and then running. I'm not shitting you. They were running back to their vehicles so that they didn't have to contact or have any contact with you. This company's thing is zero contact. They don't want any contact with their customers. That's why they don't have an email. They make it where you can't contact them if they're not in the office. Even if they are in the office, and I've caught them doing this more than once, even if they are in the office, they will purposely not answer the phone because they don't want to talk to you. They don't want any contact with you. If they do something, they don't want you to have any way of contacting them. So they avoid it at all costs, which makes no sense because you literally are owning a complex. There's going to be problems. There's going to be issues. There's going to be questions. And they make it very difficult for you to do anything as a resident besides pay your rent. And even that's a pain in the ass. You can only pay by your bank account. You can't pay by card. And if you pay by card, you're paying an extra $70 on top of your rent so you can pay it by card. It's the most ridiculous thing. And I really don't like the new owners of this place, but I have to deal with this if we want to stay here. And I'm okay with dealing with it. Just why can't you tell me if my rent's going up? Like, why is that such a big thing? Like, what do you think I'm going to do? Bounce tomorrow? I still have a lease. Like, I'm still in a lease with you. So, like, you can tell me if the rent is going up or not. And so I'm really scared that our rent is going to go up and we're going to have to move. And so I started kind of looking around to see if there's even any availabilities because you got to think, we're moving with 2 large dogs, and most places have a weight requirement, which my dogs do not meet. And we have the ferrets, which we, of course, would have to tell them because I'm not hiding ferrets in a townhome or in a apartment where when they come in to do maintenance, they will see them. So it's very much like, it's very much up in the air right now, and it's causing great anxiety, as you can imagine. So I'm just a little irritable with the place that I live right now because this is how they operate. And they're very much okay with it as long as you're paying your rent. They don't give a crap about you or anything you have going on. So it sucks. It really sucks. And the office ladies that take care of this place are complete bitches, and they like cop attitude with you and everything else. Like, I really do not like the new owners of this complex. And I was really hoping that by the time we signed our lease that they would have sold it by now. And I think they're going to be selling it soon. And this is always what happens. As soon as we renew our lease, within 6 months, somebody else buys it. And then we get new office people. They have a new way for you to pay your rent. And it's a whole mess. It's a whole goddamn mess. And it's super freaking irritating. But that's enough about that. So yeah, Easter. So we had the house all opened up and everything. And it was beautiful outside. And then we had a really nice dinner. And like I said, Mr. Coffee is super excited because he got his butterfly pork chops. And he, I guess, never had them. And we were talking about the prices of the meat and stuff. And, like, what is it going to cost us to get a deep freeze? And we're going to probably keep it in our garage. And, you know, we could go buy a whole cow for, like, $1,400 or some shit like that. One of his bosses, or his boss at work has a farm. And he was offering him a cow. And Mr. Coffee's like, I would take it if I had a deep freeze, but I literally don't have a deep freeze. So, we're going to be looking into getting a deep freeze when we get back from vacation, if we are still staying here, of course. So, we cooked dinner. We have a nice dinner. And then, like, we don't do, like, the special, like, Easter dinner or anything like that, because it's just the 4 of us. But after dinner, we let the kids open their Easter stuff. Now, again, we didn't buy them Easter baskets. One, I feel like the kids are too old for Easter baskets. Like, Orion is 12 and Maggie is 10. So, like, I kind of feel like they're too old. And though Maggie is very immature for her age, which I got to call her doctor's office today to see about her getting weaned off of her pills. But though Maggie doesn't act her age, I still feel like she's still too old for Easter baskets. And so we didn't do Easter baskets this year. It was just, we got them some snacks, some Easter snacks, and we called it a day. And they were just as happy with the Easter snacks as they would have been if they were in a basket. Plus, now, I don't have to worry. Like, I was thinking about getting some baskets that were reusable. Like, they're not just like the little plastic baskets that you get from Walmart or some shit. I wanted to see about getting, like, legit, like, wicker baskets or something. So that, wanted to get, like, legit baskets so I can reuse them every year, get their names on it and stuff. I just never got to that point before like Easter snuck up on us. And not only that, I wasn't expecting them to be home half the week last week. So I was like, what do you mean you don't have school? Like, we were literally in the car, and they're like, we don't have school for the rest of the week. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't have school for the rest of the week? And come to find out, they had gotten off for Easter break, and I forgot that school got out for Easter break. And I was like, oh shit, no wonder you don't have that many days of school left. So the kids get out of school on May 25th this year. And so they don't have very much left in school, which I'm pretty excited about that, because the way I hate taking and picking them up from school, it just cuts into a lot of my day, because I lose 3 hours waiting and sitting and picking them up. So it'll be nice to be able to like spend the entire day like doing things that I need to get done and getting them done in a reasonable fashion. So yeah. So we had a nice dinner. They had snacks afterwards, and Mr. Coffee's mom, if you remember, bought me some flowers, and the flowers are starting to die now. And this is one of the reasons why I don't like flowers. So the flowers are starting to die, so they're releasing pollen and freaking petals all over my kitchen table. And so Mr. Coffee took one thing of the flowers out, and he put it, we have kind of like this flower bed next to our house in the backyard. And so he kind of put it on there. And so like every day we're dumping flowers into this bed because they keep dying. And no amount of food and water and sing into them and sunshine and aspirin and Sprite is going to make them feel any better. So I was like, you know, we're just gonna do away with the flowers now. Well, as we're doing away with the flowers, the kids decide that they're going to use the flowers as swords. So they're outside, like, chasing each other with these dead flower stems, and they're just beating each other with them. And this is why, I'm like, this is why we can't have nice things. This is also why we didn't get you guys Easter baskets. Why do y'all have, like, why do the kids always have to attack each other? Like, I don't understand. So we had a nice Easter. Mr. Coffee got off for Good Friday, so that was nice. I got to spend a little bit of Friday with him before going live. But yeah, it was just all around, it was a really good day. And then yesterday, was the kids' last day home from Easter break. So the kids did go back to school today. Maggie was not happy. One, she had to get up early. Lately, Maggie has been hating to get up early, and I don't know what her deal is. And two, because I told her she couldn't wear her snow pants to school. Y'all, how is everybody else's weather? Because I can tell you right now, the weather where I live, yeah, very much right now we're supposed to be in the 80s today. Now, if y'all remember, just a week ago, we were still in the 20s. And now we're in the 80s. And so I'm like, oh my God. Like, and this is why I'm trying to get like my air conditioner charged and everything else, because it's going to be hot as balls today. And we are expecting a little bit of snow this weekend, which I expected. Because if you guys remember last year, this is around the time that we got those 2 bad blizzards. So I'm half expecting that to happen again, because it did get really warm last year before spring came. Or it got really warm before the blizzard came. The blizzard came, and then I was just sitting there like, this is just us now. Like, this is just us. So I'm just like, you know, sorry, if I take a break and stuff, you know it's the vape. So we very much are concerned that there might be another blizzard coming, but besides the little bit of snow and rain that we're expecting this week, there's nothing that's stating right now that there's going to be a blizzard. But I'm still really paranoid about it, and I'm like, oh God, we're going to get a blizzard, we're going to get a blizzard, we're going to get a blizzard. And Maggie's like, we're going to go get ice cream? No, not that type of blizzard, like snow. She's like, we're going to get snow cones? We're not getting freaking snow cones. So, yeah, there's that. With it being nice, I can finally go wash my freaking car. That will be nice. My poor little car, like most people, like, I hate the way my car looks. Like, are you a person that likes to take care and wash your car? Or are you a person that's just like, the car's the car at this point? You know, if it gets clean, it'll get cleaned by the rain. Like, I remember when I was with Minna's dad, he would purposely wait for it to rain. He would go out with like a scrub brush that he had for his car, and he would throw soap on it while it was raining, and then scrub it, and then let the rain wash all the soap away. I'm like, you lazy sack of shit. That's some ghetto shit right there. So I very much am go to the car wash type person. Like, I want it washed correctly. So I'm very much a go to the car wash type person. And so I think today, after the kids get out of school, I'll treat them. They love going to the car wash, so I'll treat them to go into the car wash today, because it's supposed to be really, really nice out. I even thought about taking them over to the park after school, because I don't stream today on Twitch. Tuesdays are my day off of Twitch, because I do my whipping chats on Tuesdays. So I'm really, really excited about going to get my car washed today. What else do we have going on? So yesterday, the kids' last day before they go back to school, Maggie has made some new friends. Now, I'm super excited about this, but I'm also super sad, and my heart breaks for Maggie, because we're just trying to do what's best for her, and no matter what we do, there's always going to be something that ruins it. So Maggie made some new friends this weekend. There were some little kids that live up the street that are about her age, and she was playing with them yesterday, and I was so excited because she was so well behaved yesterday. So real quick, I know somebody's going to ask how she's doing with eating. Maggie is doing just fine with eating. She hasn't really given us any trouble since we went to the neurologist. Like I keep saying that, you know, I think it really hit home with her when we went to the neurologist and they explained like the situation and how bad it was. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, so I'm gonna take the kids to the car wash today to get the car washed, and we're just gonna have a good day. So back to Maggie and her friends. So Maggie did make some new friends, and like I said, I'm super excited about the fact she made some new friends. She's been doing really well with eating lately and behaving a lot better. She's behaving the normal Maggie. It almost seems like she snapped out of whatever little like fit of rage she was in, and I'm like, is this what puberty's gonna be like? Because I'm scared. Mr. Coffee just looks at me. He goes, oh, God. I'm like, yeah, like I'm scared. So Maggie's made some new little friends up the street, and she was so excited because she goes, Mommy, I'm playing with my friends. And I'm like, did you make friends, honey? Now, my biggest thing with Maggie is I think part of her reasoning for why she acts the way she does is because she doesn't have any friends around the house. The one little friend she did have moved away, and my heart broke when that family moved away, because she loved those neighbors and their son. And their son was always outside playing, and Maggie always had somebody to play with. Well, apparently, after last year's incident with the neighbors that we shall not speak of, Maggie had been having trouble making friends. So it was nice to hear that she had made some new friends. And I was like, I'm so excited she made friends. Now, yesterday, she was so well behaved while I was streaming. And when I was done, she goes, Mommy, can I go outside and play with my friends? And I was like, yeah, you can go play with your friends. So she goes outside. Y'all, she's outside all day. I did not see her but one time. And she comes over and she's like, Mommy, I'm having so much fun playing with my friends. And I'm like, I'm so excited, honey. She goes, I'm going to go back and play with them until dinner time. Can you call me when dinner's ready? And I'm like, yeah, we'll call you when dinner's ready. So she's outside, and they're skating and rollerblading up and down the street and everything else. And they live on the other side of the cul-de-sac. So it's not like they live super far away or anything, or like she can't just walk over to their house on the side. Like literally she can just take the sidewalk straight to their house. So I was all super excited, and I'm happy for her. And then later in the evening, she's rolling by the house and she waves at me, and I see this little redhead girl. Now this little redhead girl is friends with the two little girls that Maggie's not allowed to play with. And so I told Maggie to be careful with the redhead girl, because I know she's friends with the other two kids. And she goes, oh, she's not friends with them anymore. Apparently they were yelling at her or something. I don't know. She goes, but she says she's not friends with them anymore. And I'm like, I don't trust that, because I just seen her with them yesterday. So just be really careful with the little redhead girl. And she goes, okay. Sure enough, here comes the two little girls that Maggie's not allowed to play with coming around the corner with the group of boys. The group of boys, including the one little boy that had the racist comments to say about our family to Orion at school, because that little boy does live here in the complex. So I'm sitting there, and I'm just I'm keeping an eye on things, and I'm like drawing outside, and Maggie comes over and she waves at me and she goes, Mom, those are my friends. And I'm like, oh, well, they seem nice, and you know, they're tall like her, and they were having a good time, and they're like, Maggie, come on, let's go play, let's go play. And she's like, all right, Mom, I gotta go play with my friends. And I was like, bye, Tootsie. You could just tell she was so freaking happy. And I'm like, my heart was so big because I was like, she finally made a real friend, like friends that aren't going to be hurting her, or I'm not going to hear about them hitting her or whatever. Like the old friends. So I was super excited. And then I seen the other two kids come around the corner that she wasn't allowed to play with. And I was like, please let them just go away. Like, just go away. Well, they come around the corner with the little boy and his friends that, you know, made the racist comments to Orion at school. And I'm like, of course you're hanging out with them. And so I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, as Maggie goes to roll back up to her friends, the little girl with the red hair goes up to the friends that she was playing with and talks to them and says that the two little girls want to play with them. And the little girl's like, oh, okay, she can play with us, you know, because they're kids and they don't know anything about the drama that happened last year or anything like that. These residents are new. So they go over to the two girls, and you see Maggie's face just drop. Like, you just see her face drop, and my heart sank. And I was like, no, don't do that. What the flip? And sure enough, the two little girls that Maggie's not allowed to play with, they're like, you know, introducing themselves to these new kids. And then the group of kids that they were all playing with, and Maggie's sitting there by herself waiting for the kids to come back like she's sitting on the sidewalk waiting for them to come back from talking to the other kids. And they just tell her, you know, come with us, come play with us. And they were like, well, what about Maggie? They're like, she could stay there. And I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like, are you serious right now? Y'all, they just left her sit on the sidewalk, and my heart just broke. I legitimately just wanted to cry because I was like, why would you do that? Like, they had been playing nicely all day yesterday. All day. The other two kids that she's not allowed to play with were playing with their friends on the other side of the complex. And now, all of a sudden, they want to make best friends with the kids that Maggie was playing with. And, of course, they did it on purpose. They weren't even thinking about playing with those kids until they seen Maggie playing with them. And then they decide that they're going to play with them and leave Maggie by herself. And my heart sank because you could see she was holding back tears when she came back to the house. And I was like, you okay, Tootsie? And she's like, yeah, I guess I'll just play by myself. And I was like, okay. I'm like, you want mommy to play like Legos or something with it? And she's like, no, it's okay. I'll just play by myself. And she sat out on the sidewalk playing Legos by herself because these asshole kids had decided to take her friends away from her because, God forbid, she has any friends. Now take it, there's a group of 8 of them. And there was only 2 little girls that were playing with Maggie. And they just had to take the little girls away from Maggie because, God forbid, she have anybody to play with. So at this point, Mr. Coffee's like, you know, he's livid because he sees the whole thing happening from the inside of the house. And he goes, why did they do that? I'm like, because they won't let her have friends. She's not allowed to have friends, apparently. I don't know. I'm like, they were playing perfectly fine with the other 2 kids. And then shortly after they take the kids away from Minna or Maggie to play with, I hear them yelling at the one girl on the other side of the complex, like yelling at her for something. And I'm like, you know, they're not even playing nicely with the kids. Like, they're literally treating them like trash. And so what was the point of taking them away from Maggie just so that she didn't have anybody to play with? That's the end goal of the one little nasty girl. And I can't even say it's both of the girls because the one girl still likes Maggie. But it's the point of her sister, who is the asshole of the 2 kids. Her sister, the one that her mother claimed had behavioral issues, her sister doesn't want Maggie to have any friends or anybody to play with. So anytime Maggie even talks to another kid, all of a sudden they get real chummy and nice and want to play with the other kid. And I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Well, then I noticed there were some kids at the playground. And I was like, oh, Maggie, do you want to go play with the kids at the playground? There's some kids at the playground. Mommy will take you over. And she's like, no, they're friends with the redhead girl. And she lied to me and said that she wasn't friends with them anymore. And of course she is, because she just wanted to, you know, be mean to me. And I'm like, was she mean to you? And she's like, she took my friends away. So, you know, why wouldn't she be mean to me? And I'm like, I'm sorry, Tootsie. So I spent the rest of the evening cooking dinner and having her help me and like playing Legos with her outside. And I felt bad. I've never felt so sad for my child. And to know that as long as they live here, she will never have friends. They will never let her have peace. They will never leave her alone, because if they can't be friends with her, nobody can. And that's very much the mentality that I'm getting from these kids. And I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they won't let my child play outside without taunting her, or constantly walking past our house and like knowing that they're not allowed to play or talk with her. They like legitimately would not stop walking past our house the other day. So Mr. Coffee and I are talking, and he's like, well, if we do move, if anything else, maybe she'll actually have an opportunity to make friends, where we don't have to deal with these bitches of these little fucking kids, because this is annoying. And I'm like, it's not annoying as it is sad. It's sad that they won't let her have friends because they can't be friends with her. And so Mr. Coffee was just like, and what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. We have to figure out something, because summer is coming. And she's going to be very lonely over the summer if every time she makes friends around here, they come over and try to take them from her. So now we're trying to figure out that situation, because now these little brat-ass kids are not letting her enjoy being outside. And essentially, every time she is outside, even if she's sitting on our porch, they will constantly walk past our house back and forth, doing it on purpose to taunt her. And so, and it's not like they're being mean to her or anything. They want to play with her, but they know they can't. So to keep her from being able to play with anybody, they just keep making friends with all the other kids around the neighborhood, so that they isolate her by herself. And they're not thinking, and for as much as their mom is all about, oh, mental health, and I don't want to, her kids aren't thinking the same thing when they're doing these nasty things to my child. So now I'm having to wonder, what am I going to do with Maggie over the summer? I can't play with her. I'm not a child. I can't play with her all day and entertain her all day. And she still is having a hard time entertaining herself. So what am I supposed to do with her over the summer? Summer's in less than 30 days. And where we're going to be gone for a week, Minna's not coming back here with us. And she can't seem to make friends, because every time she does, they don't leave her alone. The only good part about it is they tend to be gone a lot during the summer. So I'm banking on that to be the case this summer, so that she actually will get to play with the other kids in the neighborhood. And I don't care about the kids that and that's the thing, is the kids that the girls were playing with aren't necessarily kids that my kids play with, because they are like nasty little behavioral having kids as well. And not all kids with behavioral issues act like this, but these particular kids do. And it makes it really hard for me as a parent to not dislike these children. So we're having to worry about that. And we can't force Orion to play with her every day, all day, because he has stuff that he wants to do with his friends as well. So it makes it a hard situation. And like I said, my heart breaks for Maggie. And we're talking about possibly finding like a camp or something to get her in. But she doesn't like being away from home for too long, because she doesn't want to be away from her dad for that long. So it's like, okay, so what do we do? So we're trying to figure out something to do that will keep her preoccupied over the summer, where she's not bored or feeling lonely. And I'm sure she does feel lonely, because she's been cooped up in the house for the last few months because of the snow. It finally gets nice out. She makes a friend, and then somebody comes and takes them. And so now she's isolated all over again. And so she's feeling very lonely, and I feel bad, because there's not really a whole lot that I can do about it. Because I can't go fight kids. Like, that's not something that mommy can do. So what else can mommy do besides, like, cancel all of her plans just to play with her all day? But it's not the same as playing with other little kids her age. She's not going to get the same interaction and social skills playing with me as she would playing with kids her age. So it's very much going to be a rough summer if we, if things continue on like they're continuing now. It's going to be a rough summer for her, and I feel bad, and my heart just breaks for her, because I want her to be able to make friends. I want her to be able to go outside and have a good time, and me not have to worry about her being hurt or getting hurt because people keep accidentally hurting her, or like whatever. Like, very much like I don't like this situation, and I'm really hoping with these rent renewals that these people leave this summer. And yeah, it just sucks. It sucks real bad. So we're also dealing with that. And then we're sitting here last night, and I'm like, why is there hot spots in the house? Like, when you walk past a place, it was like really hot, and we had the windows and stuff open, and that's when I realized that the air conditioner had went out, or that it needs to be recharged. It seems to be working a little bit right now, but I can tell that it needs to be charged. So well, now I'm waiting for a call back from the complex so that they can tell us when they can come over and charge it. More than likely, and I called them, but I couldn't leave a message because their voicemail was full. And so what I'm going to end up having to do is either go up there, because I know they're just sitting in the office. And this is what they do. They purposely don't answer the phone. And then when you go in the office, they'll tell you that they were busy. No, you weren't. You just didn't answer the phone. Like, like the one day I literally called in the car sitting outside of the office looking at the lady to see what she did. She looked at the caller ID and then just kept doing what she was doing. She purposely did not answer the phone. So I was like, of course you aren't going to answer the phone. So I immediately got out of the car, still on the phone, and I'm like, do y'all not answer the phone anymore? And she's like, oh, well, I was getting ready to answer it. And I'm like, I literally called you twice and you didn't pick up. I'm like, I don't understand why you're not answering the phone. So I am waiting to hopefully like call them back again so that I can get them to come recharge the AC unit. And I hate talking to them, but I've had to talk to them more in the last few months. And then they keep doing these house inspections and all this stupid crap. And I'm just like, in one way, I hate it here. I hate the people that own it. But I know if I wait long enough, they'll leave. I was wondering what was underneath here. It's a paper. I know if I wait long enough, they'll leave. Because most places that... we've had 3 different owners since we've moved in here 2 years ago. And they're not going to be any different. Like they will eventually like sell this place to somebody else. Like it's going to happen. I know it is. I hope it is. And so like I'm trying to wait it out and not get too irritated by the way they do things, because they make it very inconvenient for their residents. So I'm really just hoping that they sell this place to another company that is better, or back to the company that had it before, because the company that had it before was like amazing. This company is absolute trash. 0 out of 10 would not recommend. Like, they freaking suck. And I'm almost wondering if there's something I can do about that, because it gets on my nerves. But it was really nice out, and we've been having the door open and letting the dogs get some fresh air, and the ferrets are even loving the fresh air. Now, we don't let the ferrets out of the cage when the door's open, because you never know if they can slip out of the gate that's outside. And so they just enjoy it from their cage. And because they sleep so much anyways, they were just happy that it wasn't like blazing hot, I'm sure. But we did have a really nice Easter. Minus the incident with the kids. The kids have been having, they had a really fun Easter. They got to play. We didn't do an Easter egg hunt, mostly because the weather changed. So the weather has changed drastically here all of a sudden. Like, anybody else experiencing like a really, really weird weather change? So our weather went from being around the teens and the 20s to now, today it's supposed to be 81. It was, last night they were only calling for it to be 71, but now it's going to be 81. And I'm like, there's always a warm front before it gets cold. And it really is scaring me that it's getting this warm this quickly. Now, we're only supposed to get warm for today and yesterday, and then it's supposed to go back down into the 50s for the rest of the week. And then it's supposed to be like a rain-snow mix, and rain and then snow on Friday. Like, you know, the usual crappy weather, because, you know, the universe hates my life. So I'm just sitting there like, oh God, please, please, please don't let there be like another storm coming or something like that. Like, I really, really am worried that there's going to be another storm coming and we're going to get stuck in this house again, which is fine with me, because that just means the kids don't have to go to school, which I don't remember if the kids had school last year when we had those storms. Like, I don't think they were in school yet, or they were out for some reason. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, hold on, let me find the number 9, because one of the things I will complain about with this canvas is the fact that they have numbers, but the numbers don't correspond to the numbers on the canvas. And I really hate when companies do that. So like the number 9 is 17. So let me find that bag. 16, 20. Did I pull it out already? Nope, it's not pulled out. I feel like every whipping chat I have to lose a bag of drills. 13, 18, 16, 20, 14, 21, 2, 4, 17. There we go. So yeah, so the family is doing well though. Like minus the mishap with Maggie, we'll get that part figured out. Like she just, it's so sad because she's such a sweet kid when it comes to other kids. And I met the parents of the kids that she was playing with, and they seemed really nice. And I was really hoping that this was going to be a good thing for Maggie. And I mean, it still can be, because I'm pretty sure as long as she stays out of sight of these other 2 girls while they're outside, that they won't bother her too much. Meaning, like, take her friends away while she's playing with them. So, yeah. Okay, we got that symbol, and then we're going to get this blue symbol here. And it's not like it's hard for Maggie to make friends. She's very much a social butterfly. It's just, it's harder when you're trying to make friends and people are purposely sabotaging you making friends because they don't want you to make friends because you can't play with them. And that's the shitty part of the situation, is that it's literally only because that she can't play with them that they're making it where she can't make any friends or anything. So it just kind of sucks. But we'll get that part figured out. But I'm excited for the kids to get out for summer break this year because Orion has been cleared to play sports and he wants to play soccer. And I thought about getting Maggie into soccer as well. It'll give them both something to do active outside. It'll give them a purpose. And I highly doubt the girl's mom is going to put them on a soccer team. So yeah, like I'm pretty excited to see what we can do with the kids this summer, which means I might have to rearrange my schedule and how I do things. I might miss a couple more whipping chats this year, because of, like, we're planning our trip right now. The trip, we're going to be leaving, June 1st. And then we'll be returning on the 10th or the 11th. So, for at least 2 weeks, you guys will get Twitch replays instead of a whipping chat, because, of course, I'm not going to come back directly after a trip and sit for an hour to talk, about a whipping chat. So I might just take a week or 2 off of YouTube and Twitch, just so I can get my bearings back and everything, because that's going to be a long trip. We're going to be in the car with the kids and the ferrets. The ferrets are coming with us. They're going to be staying at my mother-in-law's house, and then having to make that long road trip back and forth. It's going to be tiresome, and then having to pick up the dogs from the borders and everything else. So yeah, like, it's very much going to be a very odd week or so for us, but hopefully it's a successful one, and hopefully they don't raise my goddamn rent, because I swear to God, like, oh, why are places this way? Why are they this way? I'm trying to finish this section because I don't have much left in it. So let's see, we had 3 dots. But the dogs have been doing well as well, because I know people like to ask about that. The dogs have been doing well. Daisy's eyes are clearing up from the pannus, which is the autoimmune disease that attacks your retinas. Killian's face hasn't gotten any worse, but at the current state that they're in, it hasn't really gotten a whole lot better. So, like, he's still missing the black around his eyes. But other than that, he's doing well. I adjusted his meds, and he seems to be doing fine on the adjusted meds. Like I said, his face isn't getting any worse. It was a little tore up beforehand, but I watched him scratch it, and he was able to scratch it without, hurting himself. So that's a plus. So there's that. The ferrets are doing well. So last week, I forgot to finish the ferret story. I apologize. There were so many people asking about it, and I guess a lot of you don't watch the replays on of the live streams. So the reason why, I asked you guys which ferret did you think was a crackhead ferret. The crackhead ferret is Anais. And the reason we call her the crackhead ferret is because she has a monster addiction. So Mr. Coffee knows that he's not supposed to put his monster cans down whenever he gets in the house if the ferrets are out, because what ends up happening is the ferrets will take, or Anais, I should say, will take and try to drink out of his monster can. She got one taste of monster, and now she beelines it for his table whenever he's home, because she knows he's going to put one on the table, and she'll go up and literally try to take and drink it. Her little paws, she grabs hold of the side of the can like she's legitimately trying to drink it, and then we'll try to turn it up. Well, she did that the other day as we're both sitting. Well, I'm sitting on the couch. He's in the kitchen talking to me, and I just hear this fizzling sound. And I'm like, what the hell is that sound? I look over, and this little crackhead has his monster can in her little paws, and she's trying to turn it up, and she can't because it's too heavy, because it has too much fluid in it. So she goes to try to turn it up. She can't turn it up, so she, like, jerks back really hard. And when she does that, her and the can flip over the side of the table in the living room. And I'm sitting there like, "Hun, get towels now." And he's like, "What happened?" He's like, "Oh, shit." And I'm like, "Yeah, you left your can out again." So he goes and grabs towels. I grab Anna. He gives me the towels. And I start trying to clean off Anna. And she's, like, frantically licking herself, trying to get the taste of the monster. And then she's, like, clawing at my arm because she wants to get down to get to the monster on the floor. And at one point, I dropped her. Now, I wasn't standing straight up. I literally had just went to go try to pick her back up because I was losing control of her because she was, like, crawling all over the place in my hands. And I literally just, like... Hold on, what symbol is this? This is that triangle symbol, because I can put that up there. I had an extra drill that was just chilling right there. I want to try to get this sunflower done. Ugh. So she doesn't, or she got to the can. We get the mess cleaned up, and there's like, of course, it's going to be sticky because I feel like energy drinks are 90% sugar and just like a hint of energy something. So there was lots of sugar and like so I had to get like a warm towel and like bleach the area just so it wasn't all sticky and stuff. And you know, she's sitting there trying to, like, she's like fiending for these monsters, and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with this ferret? Like, why does it always go after these monster cans? Usually she only likes things that are rubber, so the fact that she keeps going after the monster cans is kind of hilarious because she's doing that intentionally. Like, she wants that monster. And I'm like, even the ferret has a monster problem. Like, how do I deal with that? And so we just have to be more, or Mr. Coffee needs to be more careful when he sets his drinks down, because knowing that he has a crackhead ferret in the house that wants to steal his drinks probably isn't and it's not the best thing for him, but don't worry, Anais is fine. Gumball is doing fine. So yeah, number 3 is number 5. But real quick, I'm gonna fill in those 2 spots there. So and as you guys know, I also forgot to tell you guys the coffee pot story and what happened to my coffee pot. Now, I'm not sure what exactly happened to this freaking coffee pot, because I'm like, how do you break a coffee pot? Like, how aggressively are you making your coffee that you break a whole ass coffee pot? And apparently very aggressive. Apparently I am very, very aggressive when I go to make my coffee, just hulking the coffee machine. Because we sat there and we had tried everything to try to fix this coffee machine, okay? We're descaling it like nonstop. We're running water through it, and the water ran through fine. So then we realized that after like the 6th time, we realized, okay, it's not the machine itself, it's the K-Cups. And I'm like, maybe it's a bad box of K-Cups, because before this box, my other box of K-Cups didn't give me any trouble. And that morning, I had just opened that box of K-Cups. So, of course, I'm going to think it's that box of K-Cups that's causing the issue. Now, it was almost like my coffee pot got rabies, and it just started foaming from the mouth, because every time you would put water in it to make coffee, it would just overflow out of the sides, out of the top. And I'm like, what the hell? Why does it keep doing this? We thought we had it figured out. Wrong. We did not have it figured out. I go to make coffee, and of course I step away because I'm thinking, oh, we got it figured out. No, we never got it figured out, and coffee spilled everywhere. And so I was like, God dang it, what's going on with this coffee pot? So Mr. Coffee was talking to me on Saturday, and he was asking me a question about something. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I can't even make a proper cup of coffee because my coffee machine's messed up. And he goes, what wrong with it? He's like, is it still messed up? I'm like, yeah, like I tried to make coffee in it, and it just, it's messed up. And he's like, okay, that's it. I've had enough of this. And I'm like, had enough of what? And he just walks away. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? So then he goes to the store and he sends me 2 pictures of coffee pots. And he goes, pick one. And I'm like, the black one? And he goes, fine. He bought me a new coffee pot, y'all. I haven't purchased a new coffee pot, like me purchase it, probably in like 6 years. And then I got gifted, not gifted. I got a PR thing for a coffee pot a few years ago from this place called Sobe or something like that. And so I had been using that coffee pot up until now. The coffee pot worked great, but then it just decided one day that it was just done. It was done, and I'm like sitting there making coffee, and it's like spilling out all over the place, and we can't figure out why. So Mr. Coffee was tired of me fiddling with it, because what we did the day before was we descaled it a few times, let water run through it, tried like using like other K-cups in it to see how they would work, and everything seemed to work fine until you put the K-cup in, and it's like the thing wasn't getting enough, like, it wasn't getting enough ventilation to let the, the water run through. So it would just overfill over the top of the coffee K-cup. And so Mr. Coffee was like, oh, so you know the needle that punctures the bottom of a K-cup? The needle in the Solby machine was bent. He goes, maybe it's because it's bent. So he tried fixing it that way. It didn't work. We tried fixing it a couple of different ways, and I was like, well, I just have to puncture. And at this point, I was literally puncturing almost like 5 or 6 holes at the bottom of the K-cups just to make a cup of coffee. And so then when I mentioned on Saturday that I couldn't even make a decent cup of coffee, he went out to Walmart because he had to grab some stuff anyways. So he went out to Walmart and got me a new coffee pot. So I have a new cute little Keurig. It's nothing super fancy or anything, which I don't typically, you know, like have super fancy coffee pots. As long as it makes coffee, I don't need it to be fancy. So he bought me a new coffee pot. So he's like, there, now you can actually make a decent cup of coffee. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate it, because it was a pain in the butt having to puncture all these holes in my K-cup before I make the coffee and everything else. And it's weird because I haven't had a coffee pot with a reservoir on it, like one of those like containers that holds the water. So I keep trying to refill the top of the goddamn, like the first time I went to go use it, I spilled water all over the counter, because with the old coffee pot, you had to fill it up with water to however much you want, and then you would make your cup of coffee. And so for the first time of using this coffee pot, I wasn't thinking, and I went to go fill up my cup with water, and then I just dumped it on the top of the coffee pot, because that's where I would have to dump my water in at the old on the old coffee pot. And Mr. Coffee goes, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, oh shit. So yeah, so it's taken some getting used to, but I really like the little coffee pot. It's a nice little coffee pot. So new coffee pot. Animals are doing good. The kids are doing good, minus Maggie having a little hiccup with the kids. Other than that, she's actually been doing pretty well. She's been doing a lot of reading lately, which is nice. We love to see it. And yeah. Put this in here. I'm looking forward to the nice weather, because, you know, it's always cold here. So when it gets nice outside, like me and the dogs go walking. And I took them walking yesterday just to go kind of get a feel of the new smells around the neighborhood, because we do have like new neighbors and stuff. So to give them to get a feel of like the neighborhood again, like I walked them around, and there were some new little kids around, so they asked if they pet the dogs. And it's always funny when little kids see the dogs, because adults see it. And I'm standing outside yesterday with the dogs, and we are walking towards our house, and there's these 6 little kids sitting on a porch. Now they're like little kids, like maybe 4 or 5, and you can hear them, of course, from the porch. They're like, oh, look at that doggy. I want to pet that floofy doggy. And I'm like, I look over and I'm like, you guys want to pet him? And they're like, oh, can we pet the doggies? And so, of course, the kids come flooding the dogs. The dogs love kids. So they're just like, okay. Daisy sits down so that the dogs can, like, or the kids can pet her. Killian is trying to jump on all of the kids, not realizing that he's so much bigger than them. And they're just like, all in like, oh, look at that doggy, this doggy has blue eyes, this doggy has big paws. And they're like, your doggies are very pretty. I'm like, thank you. I typically will let little kids pet the dogs as long as they don't just walk up to us. Just so, one, it gets the dogs to realize that, you know, these are tiny humans. Don't hurt the tiny humans or scare them. But very much to take part of that stigma that the big dogs are vicious. Because, of course, when you see Daisy or Killian, you would normally, most people would think, you know, they're vicious. Not you guys, though. You guys, I swear, if I ever met any of you out in public while walking my dogs, any of you would just walk up, oh, look at Daisy. So I know you guys don't know that dogs aren't scary. But people around my neighborhood really be out here thinking that my dog's out here just biting and eating small children for dinner and shit. And proof of that is when the kids start to run up towards the dogs, this lady comes running out of the house and she's like, no, don't touch that dog. It's going to bite you. And I'm like, excuse me? What? Don't tell them that. And she's like, I'm sorry they ran out. I don't want them to bite the kids. I'm like, bite the kids? They don't bite. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, of course they bite because they have teeth. But they're not going to attack your children. Like, if they were, I wouldn't have stopped so that they can purposely attack your children. Like, oh, look, dinner, guys. Pick one of these delicious children. We'll bring it back to the house and cook it. Like, what the hell do you think is happening out here in these crafty streets, ma'am? Ma'am, no, my dogs aren't vicious. I'm like, they actually love kids. I'm like, and if you look at that tiny human over there, Maggie was over there playing with her friends. I'm like, they're actually her, like, this one's actually, like, her service dog. And she's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, she's just off duty. Like, you know, Maggie's outside playing, so the dog stays with me. And she's like, oh, well, I'm sorry I freaked out. I didn't mean to scare them. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. At this point, Killian is, like, rubbing on her like a cat. And she's like, oh, this one's really sweet. I'm like, yeah, that's my husky Killian. And then this is my German Shepherd, Daisy. And she's like, they're really sweet dogs. I'm like, yeah. Apparently she had gotten bit as a child by a big dog. And so now she's afraid of big dogs. And I was like, yeah, no, they're quite friendly. Well, at this point, like, I guess she had one of those, like, little tiny dogs. And it comes bolting out of the house and comes up to my dogs. And then my dogs are sniffing it. And her dog is trying to bite at Daisy's feet. I don't know what it is about Daisy's feet that little dogs think is delicious. But yeah. So I was like, yeah, your dog is biting my dog's foot. If you could get it to stop doing that, that would be wonderful. I'd appreciate it. So yeah, so that was Easter and everything. Like I said, everything's going fine. We just have to settle and figure out this thing with Maggie and these kids up the street, because my daughter's not going to be lonely all summer. Like, that's not going to be a freaking thing. So we'll just have to figure something out for that. Now, I do plan on, I'm already planning out my next kits. I know I'm going to do the mystery kit from Inez Guerrero over on Twitch, but I got to figure out a kit to do for here. And I'm thinking I might pull out one of my Oraloa kits, but I've already worked on an Oraloa, and I don't think I did get contacted and asked to try a new company, but it won't be here in time. I don't want to work on the Jade's Gym Shop just because there was too much back and forth on that canvas that I don't want to show it on my channel anymore. So that one will be worked on off screen. I mentioned this in the live stream. Because there were so many people going back and forth about, like, whatever about that canvas, it created too much drama for me to feel comfortable enough to keep showing it on the stream or on the channel. So I will probably work on that off screen at some point. But I want to work on something that I haven't worked on before. I might have a diamond painting shop up there. Or maybe I'll work on one of my craftablies, because people, lately people have been asking me a lot about Dreamer Designs, and where I had my beef with them in the past. From what I've heard nothing but good things about their new canvases and the way that the quality is and everything else like that. And when I do unboxings, that's just a first look. That's just me looking through, like, what you would see when you first open the kit. So I'm interested to see if their quality actually has changed. Now, I would probably get a round kit because I'm over picky with squares. So maybe, just maybe, I can work on Dreamer Designs or something like that. I think I would have to get like an updated Dreamer Designs because I think I have a bunch of old ones. They're not old, but old enough. I need 3 tens. So let's see. 2. Third, that's not in there. I swear, this canvas just eats my drills. That's number 4. They were all nicely numbered. Like, after last week, I nicely numbered them so that I didn't have this issue. And I'm still very much having this issue. But I'm excited for our trip to PA. It'll be nice to see my friends and family again. And my nephew's going, he's up there for school. I didn't realize he was up there for school. And I might go visit him. But I'm so excited to go see Minna and see how much she's grown in 2 years, because 2 years times is a lot. And in another year, she will be an adult. Like, she's going to be a whole ass adult. So I'm super excited to see, like, how she's been and what she's been up to. And apparently I have to go meet her friends. And I'm like, why do you want me to meet your friends? And she's like, I really don't, but they want to meet you. And I'm like, oh, wow. Well, damn. Okay. So very much have to apparently meet her friends. But I'm just super excited to get there and to just see my kid again. It's hard being away from one of your children. So, like, it's only been 2 years, but it seems like a lot. Like, it's a lot. It feels like an eternity since I've seen her, so I'm super excited about that. Mr. Coffee is super excited because he likes to try to talk her into coming home with us. And he's like, I'm just going to pack her ass in my suitcase. And I'm like, no, that's kidnapping. He goes, you can't kidnap your own kid. I'm like, well, that is true. That is also not your child. Hate to tell you, not yours. And he's like, yeah, by law, that's my kid. I'm like, you didn't adopt her or anything. She has a whole ass dad. But Mr. Coffee sees Minna as one of his own kids, so I think it's sweet that he is so adamant about wanting her to come live with us. And so, she, like I said, she mentioned before that her plan right now is to take a year off of school after she graduates, and she wants to come live out here to see how the weather is, because that's her only hang up is the weather. If it wasn't for the fact that we get so much of a treacherous winter, she said she probably would have moved out here by now, but she doesn't like me, she doesn't like the cold. And so she's like, you know, I'm going to come out and test to see how it is. And then if I like it, I'll stay. If I don't, then I'll come back to PA and go to school. And I'm like, all right. So I'm hoping that year is a mild winter. Please. But it's nice, though, because I feel like we're finally getting to spring here. And I'm like, part of me is excited. Like I said, part of me is excited because, like, the warm temperatures. Like, when I'm done here, I'm going to go get a shower and put on some tights. Like, it's that warm. But the other part of me is scared because I'm like, what if it is just, you know, Mother Nature going, enjoy this few days of warm weather before she slams us with frickin', snow. So I'm very much concerned about that part, but I'm hoping that if Minna does come out to visit, to check to see how the weather is, I very much hope that she gets a mild taste of it and not like the janky ass weather we've been getting lately. But this weather change is really messing with us here. It's Maggie had a sore throat yesterday. I have a sore throat right now, and at first I thought it was from talking, but I've had it since I woke up, so I was like, maybe talking isn't the best thing. I was gonna put up a replay today. I was like, no, I need to record today. So I'm hoping that with this weird weather that it's done flip-flopping back and forth. It's just weird because it never gets hotter than like 60s or 70s in the springtime here. So the fact that it's going to be 80, global warming. Geez, so I'm excited though because I get to wear, like, you know, real clothes. And by real clothes, I mean tights and a t-shirt because I'm not putting on jeans or anything. So yeah, I'm super excited. What else we got going on here? It's been a week since I made partner over on Twitch, and it's super weird how people's perception of you changes when you get that little check mark. Now, the partner thing on Twitch is just means I have like a verified account, and they push my streams and stuff like that so more people can join us. And I started a stream team with a few of my creative friends from over on Twitch, and like it's just weird to me, like how people who ignored me when I would come into their streams before now all of a sudden have all this stuff that they want to talk to me about, and oh, we should be friends and talk and all this. And I'm like, you ignored me the last time I came in here, and now you won't leave me alone so I can get my work done. But okay, let's keep talking about that. So it's just weird when you're successful in doing something, how people's persona of you changes, because they think that if they talk to you or associate with you, they're going to get your following or something. And I try to tell people all the time that that's not the case. I also even I had a weirdo on the stream, on the channel here, that left me a comment about one of my tattoos. Now, I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. If you missed live, the pentagram of success is how you're successful on YouTube. Don't worry about putting any effort or work in, like hard work into creating content or anything like that. Forget that. No. You get yourself this pentagram of success, and it will make sure you're successful on all platforms. It even apparently works on Twitch. So there's that. Oh, y'all, I'm actually getting cold. Maybe the air conditioner is working. Are you actually working now? I think it was just so hot in the house that it wasn't working properly. But I'm gonna test it out for today, I guess. It's supposed to be chillier for the rest of the week anyways, so they literally would just be recharging it just for today to be used. But right now, I'm actually like legit getting chilly back here, so like I think it might be actually working. So I'm excited about that, because I really don't like them trampling through my house. The last time the guy came to recharge the air conditioner, he had mud all over his shoes, and I wouldn't let him come into the house because I'm like, no, not on the carpet, buddy. I'm sorry. You got those like those foot booties things that you put over your feet when you go into people's houses? Nah. All right, well, you're not coming into the house. I'll let you know if the air conditioner is working, because you're not about to track mud through my house. Like, what the hell? I don't even let my husband wear his work boots in here. So yeah, if you can't tell, I'm just rambling so I can finish this section. But I hope you guys are doing well. Again, thank you to everybody who supports me on no matter what platform you're on. You know, it's just the fact that you guys like to come back here and hang out with me and listen to these crazy stories of my family and how I view the world. And you might not always agree with everything that I say or do, but you're still here to support me no matter what. And that is invaluable. So I thank you so, so much for that. Now, I have to get going, but I want to really finish this section real quick before we go. I need to go get a shower and get some stuff done. I have to go draw some more stuff for the release papers for Crafts with Crashly so that she can get some releases done this week of the release papers. I usually try to give her at least 3 each week, and I have 2 right now, and I think I'm going to end up giving her 4 this week. And so I'm super excited for the designs, and I hope you guys like the designs too. If you ever have an idea of something that you would like for me to put on the release papers, go ahead and like leave it in the comment section, or come over to Twitch on Wednesdays. We do doodle days where I just doodle up things for the release papers for the next following week. Now, we missed last week because I diamond painted, just because I think I was kitting up my diamond painting. So yeah. So again, thank you guys so much for all the love and support you show me and my family. It is very, very much appreciated. I'm going to get going now because we have completed this section, and I'm so excited to see this come together. This kit is super cute. I'm not having any troubles with the drills or glue, just the fact that the legend has the numbers all kind of wonky on it. I don't like that. Other than that, the kit's been an absolute dream to work on when I'm able to work on it. So thank you to the folks over at Mooney Made. They, like I don't know if I mentioned it, but they did make a video explaining why their prices are the way they are. I don't think she really liked the review I gave about the prices being so high, but it is expensive. So you guys deserve to know that, you know, it's on the higher cost of things. So there's that. But I'm going to get going now because we have completed a section. So thank you guys so much for watching. Questions, comments, concerns can be left down in the comment section below. as you know how we do. Please take care of yourself. Don't forget to take your meds. My Asia. If you know, you know. But with that said, please take care of yourself and stay safe out here in these crafty streets. Always remember to be kind to others because you never know what somebody else is going through. Be courteous because it's the right thing to do. And always stay cool. Bye, guys.